So good afternoon, class. Welcome to our topic in this subject, oral communication in context. So we are now in week 3, elements of communication. So first here is our devotional part. It says here that Jesus is a great model. Of course, it is imperative that Jesus is our model of everything. All right. Okay. So elements of communication. Okay. Now here's a question: how do verbal and nonverbal communication work together to facilitate communication? Or how do verbal and nonverbal work together to facilitate communication? Okay, the things we say can be better clarified and enhanced when we use the proper combination of verbal and nonverbal communication. On the other hand, class, people can discern or can understand what we say from how we truly feel when our gestures and facial expression or body language in general differ from the words, right? The words that come out from our lips, An effective communicator makes very good use of nonverbal expression to aid what is being said. Okay, try this out. See if you can sing happy birthday with the saddest face. Let me try it for myself. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. All right, so am I sad? Okay, so am I sad? Okay, I don't know if I look sad towards you, right? But then try to imagine, class, if you're seeing a happy birthday with a sad face, isn't it awkward? Isn't it difficult? Because of course, when we sing happy birthday, there should be a happy appearance from us. All right, our faces should be happy. Okay, this is one of the best examples of our topic this afternoon. All right, so let's go forward. Now, elements in communication. Okay, we have here the verbal and nonverbal communication. Okay, so in order to communicate properly, speakers not only communicate using their words, but also their actions. Their words and actions must watch. Otherwise, miscommunication can occur. Communication using words is also called verbal communication, while communication without words is called nonverbal communication. All right? So nonverbal communication includes hand gestures, facial expression. Okay, just to sum up, class, let's say verbal communication. The one we're doing this time is verbal communication. When I talk to you, when your mother talks to you, when your father talks to you, when you talk to your friends, when you talk to your parents, that's an example of verbal communication. But then when I look at you, with meaning, like so with, shall we say, with madness, that's an example of non-verbal communication. Okay, where you notice when you look at the person, when you're thinking of something towards that person, that's a form of non-verbal communication. All right. Okay, so pause. We have here number 1, pause. A speaker takes pauses between utterances in order to allow listeners to process what the speaker said. Of course, when you talk or when we talk, we really have to pause. And of course, generally speaking, it is normal that when we speak, we really have to pause, okay? Because what will gonna happen if we don't pause while talking? It's really awkward and it's not really good, okay? So pause. So second is loudness or softness. Depending on the speaker style, emphasis can be achieved by either speaking loudly or softly, okay? So, depending on the speaker style, emphasis can be achieved by either speaking loudly or softly. Of course, it depends on the people. Okay, say for example, if you're having a speech towards the congregation, okay, you're facing towards many people. Of course, you really have to give a great emphasis, okay, towards the topic that you have been emphasizing. Okay, what will gonna happen if you will not speak? If you will not speak without proper punctuation, without without the spirit of being vocal, being, how do you call this, being a great speaker. Okay, for sure you're not lousy. Okay, when you talk to many people, there should be an emphasis. But this class, human as we are, even myself, when I talk, sometimes I'm a bit soft-spoken. Okay, but of course, as a competent communicator, you have to understand that every people has their own uniqueness, has their own communication strategy. So you have to understand that. But of course, what will you do if you're the speaker? Okay, if you're the speaker, if you're in the meeting, with deliberation, okay, will you just speak, with lousiness? Of course, you really have to emphasize something, right? In a kind way, all right? So loudness and softness. So you may talk to a person who, in a soft way, depending on the personality of the person. You may also talk loudly depending on his or her personality. All right. So that's what we mean here by loudness or softness. Rhythm. The way a speaker talks can be a powerful tool to change listeners. Of course, that's what I'm emphasizing earlier, that there should be a rhythm. Okay, there should be a rhythm, not monotonous. Nag-unsa ka? What are you doing? Okay, instead of saying, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, man? Okay, what will gonna happen if that, if you speak that way? Of course, the receiver or the person whom you're talking with will feel boring. Okay, and most likely he or she doesn't want to talk to you again. Right? So repetition and rephrasing. Okay. Unlike reading, a listener cannot go back to what a speaker has spoken if the speaker did not understand the particular utterance. As part of the speaker's effort to help the listener understand, the speaker will do well to repeat. Okay, that is why if your teacher will ask you, Claude, do you understand my topic? Do you understand our lesson? No, ma'am. Okay, I'm going to repeat. Claude, do you understand my lesson? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so repetition. You have to repeat what you have said to a person so that that person whom you are talking with will understand your words, all right? Okay, now tone of voice is really important, class. Okay, tone of voice is really important. I love you, mom. I love you, dad. Okay, that's, the tone of voice really matters. Okay, tone of voice. Next is appropriate form of language. Of course, here we can identify whether it's the form, whether we will be using words that are formal or informal. So in formal places like in the companies and like in the school, words should be formal. When you're inside the classroom, can you use the street language? Of course you should not. when the teachers are discussing, can you use or should you use informal language such as earpad, bro, what's up, Ludi, sakalam? No, you cannot do that because it's a formal setting. But of course, when you are talking to your friend, when you are not in a formal setting, then of course you can do informal words, okay? Informal words such as street words, right? What do you mean by street word? Like airpad, airmat. Instead of saying mother or airmat, instead of saying father or airpad, instead of saying malakas sakalam, okay? Idol ludi, all right? So that is what we mean by appropriate form of language. When you speak to your teacher, do you use street language? To your mother, when you use street language, of course, most likely you do not, okay, because it's informal. Okay, so next here is nonverbal communication. So as I've said earlier, that gestures, your hand gestures, your facial expressions, these are the examples of nonverbal communication. Okay, that is why be careful with your talk. Be careful with your look, with your smile. All right, it tells a lot. Okay, so next is review points. Proper combination of verbal and nonverbal elements help in effective speech delivery. Nonverbal elements need a special attention because they are interpreted based on cultural associations. Verbal elements of speech help bring out the power of utterances. Nonverbal messages in his book, Speech for Effective Communication, public. Okay. Yeah, that is why class verbal and nonverbal communication should be paired together. Okay, every day. Now, in activity 1, that's a Venn diagram. This time, we will be discussing about the 5 elements in communication. Who among you here would like to give an idea as to what are the 5 elements in communication? Do you think this thing rather really exists? An apology, but there is an typographical error here. Supposedly, the think word here is thing. All right. So we will have a short activity first. Write this on your answer sheet. So what do you mean by a Venn diagram? Okay. So instruction, differentiate the difference and similarities between the verbal and nonverbal communication. So what you're going to do here, class, is you are going to write here the difference of verbal and nonverbal communication. So what is the difference between verbal to nonverbal communication? So write your answer here. And here, the difference, what is the difference of nonverbal communication towards verbal communication? And in here, similarities, what are the similarities between verbal and nonverbal communication? Ano ba ang pagkakaparihan nila? Char lang. Okay? So, that's it. Next here, class, is activity 2, the process question. Instruction, answer the following questions in your answer sheet. Do not forget to write 3 to 5 sentences each number. So number 1 question here is, how is verbal communication different from nonverbal communication? How are these two things differ with one another, with each other? Okay, second here is, which verbal and nonverbal feature of communication do you find some difficulty in using? Okay, which verbal or nonverbal feature of communication do you find some difficulty in using? And why? Third is, what happens when a speaker uses inappropriate verbal and nonverbal elements? Of course, what will gonna happen? If you're talking to a teacher and you're using inappropriate language, how will the teacher respond? How will he feel about your words? Will she get happy? Will she be mad or what? Okay, so you have to answer these questions. All right, but don't forget to follow the rubric. Okay, so that is for the topic 3, which is elements in communication. So thank you so much, class, for listening. I hope you will be guided with this video discussion. Thank you so much.